So I decided against showing my face in this video because I just don't think there's much of a point. But that's me. In this race, I ran 11:58 and there was minus 2.8 wind. The race wasn't executed very well, but it is what it is. So come up, my hip positioning is high. Let me say this. And if you just look, just watch this. Like, this is actually probably the best start I've had in my life. And I fumbled. I fumbled the bag because I came out of the block so well to the point where just look at this. My foot's already down. It's one of the first down. And what was really impressive was my reaction time. I'm pretty sure was the fastest out of the entire field. And I was given such an opportunity. And I just threw it away because I was a bit stunned that it happened. I actually thought I false start and I thought they were going to call us back. Because for people that have done 100-meter races before, they know that it's very easy to get your first foot down quick. But it's very hard to get your first foot down efficiently. Because if you look at these two on the outside here, they get their foot down pretty much as quick as I do, but they're not as powerful as me. Like I think one of them gets their foot down. Yeah, the guy in yellow, he gets his foot down before I do, and he pushes, but his steps on. It's good. Whilst for me, drive, 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 and I drive, and I get out quite good. But the problem is, it wasn't as good as it could have been because if you just look at my position next to the guy that this guy, he's the guy that won. I come out of the blocks well on our first step. It's amazing. It's real good. And I get down real quick. He's still in the air, whilst my foot's already down. But you can see that our second step, sorry, they both get down at the same time. And that's purely because if you just look at this leg come through, it comes through from my knee. I'm not running fast if it's coming through from my knee. Like, nothing's really gonna happen there. And then he's found my stride. He's matching me stride for stride. And it doesn't take a genius here to notice that his strides are longer than mine are. It was over from the second step, really. I had a lot of power, but I just could not catch this guy. Just look at his strides. They're just so wide, and mine are just so tiny. So there's not much that I can really do here. He's just passing me, passing me, passing me, and my strides are choppy. Like, what's going on here? There's not much there. This guy had the race of his life. I'm joking. Yeah, it was minus 2.8 win. Whilst me, but look at this body positioning. The angles he's hitting. It's just so sharp. And then just look at what I'm doing. It's just so it's all right. I mean, it's nothing great. And I keep going like this, but it's just a waste because I can produce so much power into the ground, but I'm not going anywhere because my stride length's so tiny. So much power. Like, these steps are like baby steps. I could remove maybe 3 or 4 steps from this. I'm pretty sure I calculated, and I think it took me 54 steps to get to the finish line. And if I was to check this guy, I'm pretty sure it probably took him like 49, 48 maybe. It didn't take him as many as me. He just has so much more stride length than me. Maybe not power, I don't know. But I know he definitely has longer strides than me. And there's not much I can do. Even the guy next to me that came third, his strides, he's a bit taller than me, but his strides are still longer than mine. If he had the frequency that I had, I would have come third. There's not much I can really do. So I need to work on this. I need to improve my stride length because the 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 gap just isn't great. Like, let's say let's get a line right there, and get another one. I think yes. Let's see if I can get this right. Okay, so I went from about there to there, which isn't that big of a jump. I might have messed it up a bit, but it looks a bit. You know, no, I've got it. But yeah, figured it out. I went from here to about there. These strides aren't that long. Let's look at this guy, the guy that came first. I think the step before would be much. Yes, you don't even have to check. He went from here to here. There was so much that was so obvious, and you can just look that my strides are nowhere near as long as his. I think I'm making that much distance, whilst he's got this much on me. So it doesn't add up. I mean, it doesn't matter much at the start, but it adds up quite quick. And this is why he's leaving the rest of us behind. Because everyone behind me here, they all have different problems. Some of them are overstriding. Some of them have stride lengths too long. Some of them have strides too short. Doesn't matter what they have. They are lacking everything that this guy has. He has everything that we don't have, which is why he has that gap on us. Because if someone had at least one of the problems solved, they would be right here. But no one's there because we all have so much problems. For me, the only problem I really have is the stride length because I'm landing under my center of mass. You can tell by my knees being together, but there's just so much lacking going on in my stride length. It's just disappointing. This guy that came in third, he really would have beat me if my frequency wasn't so quick. Because I'm taking like 1.5 steps in the same amount of time as taking him to take one step. And based off of that, you can just tell while I'm moving, I'm really moving, but are my legs spinning or am I traveling? Because there's a difference between making your legs spin quick and actually traveling really fast. And the fact that I can spin my legs quick, but I can't travel anywhere is just not doing very well for me. Because I feel like the guy in front of me, he wasn't even moving his legs that quick. He was really, really striding. And that's something that I really need to work on because his frequency is probably, I want to make a guess and say, I was probably, if I remember right, I was around 4.4, 4.4 ish hertz, which is steps per second. Whilst he looks like he's probably doing 4.1, 4.2. I would check, but that's going to take a while. Regardless, you can tell there's a big difference between these frequencies. And he's just gone. And the reason why he's gone is because this section right there, you know, that his hips. If you look at my hips, you can just see how locked up they are compared to his. His hips are just free flowing, whilst mine, I'm really struggling to just try and move backwards with every step. I mean, this stride is all right, but it's the next leg again, like last race, where it's just a bit lacking. Whilst this guy, if you just forget me, just look at him. It's just textbook. Forwards, back, forwards, back. If he had my frequency, he would be preparing to try and break 10, but he doesn't. But that should just go to show how important his stride length is for this race because his frequency isn't crazy good, but his stride length so good that he can really travel. He's probably covering maybe 2.1, 2.2 meters with every single step he takes, whilst I'm barely breaking 2. I think I was doing 2.04 meters on average. So that's not even what I was doing right now. That's just the average. And to break 11, you need minimum 2 meters, and I think it's 4.5 hertz of speed. But there's a lot of different problems wrong in this race why that didn't happen. If I'm remembering right, anyway. But I'm so far off of that. Whilst this guy, he's doing well. I actually looked at his pound 10, and he ran. I think it was 10.8 with a tailwind. So I'll be honest, he is in great shape to be breaking 11. Whilst I need to just open up because this hip problem that I have is just not very good. My hips just aren't flowy; they're not loose. And if I can fix that, I can run better in 100. Though I have come to the understanding that I'm not a 100 meter sprinter. I'm more of a 200 guy. Uh, Given by the fact that my 100 meters stayed stagnant so far this season, whilst my 200 it's improved in various different ways. So if I can get this 100 to be better, I can expect some better times in the two. But I do want to open up my hips so I can have longer stride length. And if I can keep the frequency, we can expect a big PB at some point. Whether that's this season, I don't know. But next season, we can definitely see something amazing. Now for the 200, the race of the meet that everyone's been waiting for. We already know my hundreds are quite poor, but my 200s, they're usually quite good. So that's me. And in the blocks, set the set positions. It's all right. Could be a bit higher, but it will work for now. And so I come out. I think I had like the fastest reaction in the field, or one of the fastest. Came through real quick. It was just so powerful. My initial steps. I came through really powerful. Strided away. So in a 200, I'll just give you my race plan as I'm going by. So in the 200, I come out really hard out of blocks, and then my next goal is you. I want to catch you. You're on my outermost area, I want to be right next to you by about 50, 60 meters. So we've gone maybe 10, 50 meters. By this point, I'm going. This is about the time. I'm not in line with him, so it's not very good. But as we keep going further down, I think this is about 60 centimeters. I get closer and closer and closer, and then about here is, I want to say, 100 meters. And I calculated that around here I was running between 10.85 and 11.05 for that 100-meter bend. And if I could do that in a straight, we would expect some, oh, no matter what, I'd be getting a PB. But it's, can I do that in a straight? So this guy is the guy that won. I actually trained with him, and by this point we're pretty much even. I'm slightly ahead, but we are pretty much even. But this is where things start to go downhill because I trained with my coach on, I believe it was Thursday and Saturday, um, the days before this race. No, wait, I think I had this race on Saturday, so it must have been Tuesday and Thursday. And we worked on my bend, and I quickly learned how to run a good bend, a good 100-meter bend. But we didn't really have much time to work on coming off the bend, and that's where the problem starts to happen because my everything's going well for me here. I'm leading, and usually when you're leading in a 200, it's very hard to have someone catch up to you, like try and come back from behind. But because my frequency is so slow, that happens. So well, not frequency, my stride length. So it's always stride length for me. But I come around that bend quite hard, and a problem happens right here. So there's two things. My hips are off in this direction. My shoulder is off in this direction. And to run a good bend, you want to get both of those directly in line with your body so that you can go straight that way. I hope that made sense. A lot of arrows, but I hope that made sense. But the problem that I had were my hips were still off in that direction and my shoulder was still off in that direction, like here. I think I fixed it by this point, but you can even still kind of see there's a still a lean. Like this shoulder is just so clear open. It really shouldn't be that open really. Whilst if you look at his, he has a similar problem, but what he gets away with it because if you just look at his stride length, boom, massive. And then if you look at mine, not big at all, not really big. And we have a little battle for the remainder of the race, but we keep going, we keep going, we keep going, and he just passes me with his strides. Boom, 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 boom. But one thing that I really liked about this final 100 was I had a lot of power in my steps. I was able to challenge him from step one all the way up to how many steps I ran, but I just didn't have the stride length. So if I could race against him again and have a better stride length, we could expect a better outcome. But I want to say it was about 140 roughly, where it was like, okay, he's passed me right around this point. Because before that, he was a bit ahead of me, but I could have caught up. But by around here, this is where he had me. I was like, I can try and catch him, but if he can pass me, I have to find like a third gear, like a fourth, fifth gear, second, not even a second win, a third win, if I want to have a chance of being able to just go past him, which I don't have. I could have had that if I had a longer stride length, but I don't. So there's not much I can really do here. So he just runs away from me with his stride length. And I think he ran 22.96 or 7, and I ran 23 or 7. It was minus 1.3 wind. So that is still something worth factoring in. I didn't get to run as fast as I could because the wind was so bad. And now with him, because he ran 22.5 indoors. But if I can get my final 100 to be as efficient as my first 100, we can get something better because you can get away with a lot of frequency in the first 100, but in the second 100, you need that stride length. If you don't have that stride length, you're not going to be able to run really quick because you're already up to speed. Spinning your legs any faster isn't going to make you get any faster, it's just going to tire you out quicker. So you just need that stride length, not the frequency. But the fact that I was able to challenge him. Like he only had, I want to say, a 5 meter gap on me. For the majority of the race, he was only around here where he widened it by a small amount to about 10 meters. But he didn't really have a large gap on me for the majority of the race. There was points where I was leading and then he was leading, but I just need to make it so that he's leading for less, or I can catch him and surpass him. But I'm really happy with that first 100. It was done really well. I'll even just play the video. I didn't play the 100, I'm realizing now, but hopefully you would have seen the races in the captions, I guess, of me actually running these. But you can just watch how quick that bend is. I go around really quick, really quick. And it's just here, I just don't fix everything properly. And I just get hawked down and he just passes me. There's not much I can really do, but I'm learning from this. I don't really run 200 too often. I put most of my focus into the 100, but this season been putting more effort into the twos for two reasons. First off, I'm actually better at the two than I am the 100. Second off, is that my 200 PB is just so far away from my 100 PB. It's kind of like disappointing, really. My PB in 100 is 11:18, but in a two, by the end of last season, it was 22:94, I think. This is a big gap. So I want to just lower it down so that I can be like, oh, okay, I want 11:18, another 200 that's respectable, not a 200 that breaks 23. But that's the me. Overall, I'd just say the 100 could have been way better, mainly the stride length. If I can improve my stride length, we can get better results in the long run. But for the 200, similar result, stride length, but I'm very happy with that first 100. If I can replicate that first 100 and replicate the second 100 in my last 200-meter race, in my next 200-meter race, I can expect a really quick time. But there's no point in talking about if, buts, or maybes. What we should really need to do is go out there, hit the track, and run as quick as I can, because that's the only way I can run really fast. It was actually going out there and running, learning experience. With the 100 is about power. You can generally run 100 however you want and get a quick time, but the 200 is a bit more technical. You need to know what you're doing and then go out there and do that. And I did my race plan as well as I could. I have nothing against how I ran this 200 other than the stride length, but the problem is in my race plan for the day, my focus was not on my stride length, it was on my first 100. And that went well. I have nothing against that because I did what I went out to do, which was get around that bend quick. Because I've gone from running 12 seconds in the first 100 to running low 11s in the first 100. And it's not just a change because anyone who's around my level of ability can go from a 12-second first 100 bend to a low 11-second 100 bend, but will you have the energy to get off the bend? That's the difference because I've done it before last season where I ran a low 11, but this season I did it, but I had energy compared to last season where I had no energy. This race I could have pushed maybe a bit harder and I still would have had energy to finish. Last time in my other race, not this season, last season at Bucks, when I did that 200, I came on the bend. I wanted to apply power like how I'm doing now. I had nothing to give. My tank was on E, but the fact that I had something and I at least challenged means that we have something here that we can work with. I just need to improve my stride length. If I can get my stride length to be better, then you can fly. But for now, what I'm gonna do for the 100 is just, to be honest, I don't even know. All I can really do is work on my stride length, and that's gonna take some time. But it's gonna be drive phase stuff and working on my stride length. For the 200 is keeping what I have that's good and adding in stride length. So it doesn't matter with the one or the two. The main focus right now is going to be on improving my stride length. But something I want to go over the 200 before I finish is I changed my setup for the start. So if we go back to in the blocks, right here. Usually, when I come out of the blocks, so imagine, actually, I can just draw it. So say this is the curve. This is the curve. Usually I have the blocks set up in that direction. But I went to my coach and we changed it a bit. So instead of having my blocks straight ahead, I have my blocks over in this section and they're pointing this way. And the reason why I did that is because, oh, got some anything to do. if I have my blocks in the middle, I'm gonna get to here, and then I'm gonna have to turn in, which is a bit inefficient, not very good. And when you consider the fact that I'm coming out of blocks and I want to drive phase, and the bend's already gonna make my drive phase whilst I'm trying to rise be shorter than I want it to be, that's not going to be very efficient. So by having it so that I come off the curve, not even come off the curve, but I'm running straight into the curve, makes so that I'm running less distance for one, and two, I'm able to have a straight line for a decent amount of time so I can actually build speed. Because when I ran my 2276, my blocks were in the middle and I was running here and then I'd turn a bit and turn a bit and turn a bit, whilst here was a straight line. So that's the reason why, part of the reason why my first 100 was so quick, because I had more of a drive phase. I mean, I'm sure if you counted, let me see if I can remember. I think I was upright by about the seventh step. And if you count here, and my other 200 meter race, the one that I had my PB, if you count here, but one step, two steps, three steps, four steps, five steps, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11. About 11 steps in. Maybe you can say 10. 10, 11 steps, that's when I've completely risen. Whilst before I rose within 7 steps because I'm going around a bend and I need to position my body in an effective way to hit that bend well. But I also want to drive, but I can't drive because if I do, I'm going to run out of my lane. I'm going to get DQ'd. So I had to just work with what I had, and I was like, okay, this not okay. I just came out my drive phase, but my body just had to come out because it just wouldn't work. But the fact that I'm able to have a straight line made it easier for me to have a more efficient drive phase, so that when I ran around, I could just fly around that bend. If I could just maintain what I was had here, I would have been flying. But I just need to obviously work on my stride length because I lost not because I'm slow, not because my frequency wasn't good enough, because my frequency was the best out of the entire field without even a competition. There's no one in frequency wise next to me. I lost because my stride length was not as good as the person that beat me. So next race, we're gonna work on that. Both events. It's really just my stride length.